This is Tim Organ. Welcome to the Rebels with a Root Cause podcast.
Warren Phillips, welcome to the Rebels with a Root Cause podcast.
I love it.
So tell the audience about who you are and what it is you do.
Yeah, that's easy. Like what I'm known for now is non-toxic dad, but I wasn't always non-toxic dad. I was a toxic, sick young man that had to get his life back, and through those challenges is what brought me into natural health. And over the last 3 years, I've been trying to get that message out there more through social media, which can be toxic, but it's also quite, expansive.
It's a vehicle.
Yeah, it's a vehicle. So, So starting in about 2004, after I graduated with my master's degree, I got an environmental science and environmental cleanup. Reduce, recycle, reuse. Let's clean up the environment. Let's make a difference. And so I was doing that for a living, doing heavy metal cleanup, mold remediation. Our company had an arm of that. We also
So we're talking not heavy metals like in the body, but real heavy metals.
Yeah, heavy metals, like some of the things we do now with people, we were doing in the environment.
Wow.
We would clean them up.
Yep.
And because they're destructive. They're neurotoxic to us, but they're neurotoxic to animals, and their plants can uptake them. Then you eat that. Like it's all
the water table, everything, like you name it, right?
The thing is when you drop in a toxin in one spot in the world, just because it's not in your backyard, eventually it can wind up into you. So we won't get into that now, but maybe we will in the show. So long story short, I became an environmental consultant. And as we cleaned up hazardous waste, I was exposed to mercuric oxide. Mercuric oxide, they used to coat grains with it, literally corn, wheat, barley, back in the 90s, early 90s. And they'd put it on the grain because it was better than glyphosate, right? Because it would kill.
Wait, something better than glyphosate?
Yeah, more toxic than
more toxic.
More toxic than glyphosate. The mercuric oxide would keep pests and rodents and fungus and bacteria, and you put it in a grain, you get better harvest. However, we all know that mercury is the second most toxic thing on the planet. So we took that grain and we gave it to Africa. They turn it into bread, and there's a whole big story about all the deformed children and hormone disruption and cancers. And so this is, once again, America's great ideas that we have at times. So long story short, I got those exposures. I started getting these weird symptoms, muscle twitching, anxiety. One time I was cleaning up a used where they buried some lead batteries. I was one of the major symptoms of an acute lead exposure. Chronic is low, is which we all get this low level of exposure from the air and our water and stuff. This was an acute exposure. I literally hallucinated. If you get a major, massive exposure to lead, you would actually hallucinate. So this is all to set up how upset I was when I found out the truth, which is our products today, mercury amalgam fillings, what the decisions that we made that we say are safe, and making that transition between the dental community says that this is safe, the medical community says this is safe, and it's 100% not safe, right? It's 100% making you sick, and they're allowed to do it. That was the mind-blowing moment. So I got sick, had to sell everything that I had. I was able to luckily sell some real estate that I had. I took a $120,000 home, sold it for $220,000 or whatever back then, had $100,000 in my bank account, had to move back into my parents' basement, which was full of mold.
Oh, jeez.
My symptoms went from a 5 out of 10, where I could at least function, to like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, to the point where I couldn't even go for a walk outside, where I wanted to take my own life, where I didn't sleep at night at all, where I became obese, where, you name it, where I couldn't even leave the house. I couldn't have a conversation. I couldn't look someone in the eye. It's actually a mercury symptom. It's called abnormal shyness. So all these things led up to either I'm going to kill myself or I'm going to decide to find an answer. And lucky for me, through prayer and faith and belief and knowing that wasn't the right path, and parents who were taking care of me at the time who tried to put me on medications, and everybody else.
No more.
Because of fibromyalgia, because of, I went to 10 different doctors, physiatrists, psychologists. Physiatrists, there's more about your physiochemistry. And so, again, medical doctors, practitioners, naturopaths. I tried everything, and there was no answers at all. And so the fibromyalgia, all the pain, a local medical doctor, a one-bar town near my house gave me Effexor and pain meds, went back 5% better. And he said, and I was nice when I said 5% better. I said, how long should I stay on these meds the rest of my life? This is a true story. You can't make this shit up, right?
Yeah.
It is absolutely crazy that, and then when I asked him how it worked, he didn't know. Right. So, and I'm a scientist. So I'm like, you don't know? I'm 25. I want to get fixed. I want to get to the root cause.
Yeah.
That was my question. Can you get to the root cause? Can you fix me? And I thought medications actually fixed you. And they don't. None of them do. And so almost all of them don't. So that was my, like, just so frustrated. Like, it's almost like people get frustrated once they understand what some lawyers really do, and the legal system is jacked up.
Right.
Well, I knew that, but I didn't know the medical system, because they're good people. Like, you just thought that they would be okay, but it's not them, it's the system is broken, right? That's why we homeschool and do all the things we know. We just, instead of complaining about it, let's do something about it. And that's what we're doing here. As I went through this, I did the medications, got off the medications, and then started searching for answers. I had my university access still.
Now, what year was this?
2000. I moved home. I think I knocked on my parents' door and surprised them October 31st. I think it was on Halloween of 2005. And yeah, so I started getting really sick in probably about 2004.
So internet was there, right? So there were some things out there for you to search. Did you go
really wasn't much to search. Yeah, it was being, you know, and there wasn't much health information. Believe it or not, 101 Ways. The guy that went to jail for the FTC, I read his book. I forget his name. He was an infomercial salesman. That was some of the best tools we had back then. You know, 101 Ways to Cure Your Health or whatever.
A true rebel.
Yeah,
They put him in jail.
He was a true salesman. So there wasn't much, but there were some papers and things that I was able to access through microfiche. So you had to literally call the library, have it ordered and shipped, and show
for
up
the
in your
younger
mail.
generation, it's about a thing about that thin.
Yeah. It's like a
You have to
little
go
bit
to a
of
library.
film.
You have to go to a library for that thing.
Yeah. So and you go and it speeds through, and you can go to page 99 and you back it up. It's crazy how much things have changed.
Isn't that amazing? Oh yeah.
So heavy metals, a lot of my symptoms were heavy metal poisoning. You know, I thought I had Lyme, like Lyme was starting to come online back then, but still a mystery illness, and you needed to be on psychotropics for that. You need to be on psychotropics for fibromyalgia. You need to be on, this is all their answers were. And so when I found out that I was heavy metal poisoned and ran the right test, back then was with your wife, JJ, who introduced me to this company later, but JJ was actually promoting these tests back then, was Doctors Data's toxic heavy metal urine challenge test. Yeah. So I did that, and I so didn't believe even the lab. I thought the lab, like, I was so fearful of everyone at this point. I split test my sample, sent one to the analytical lab that I used to use as an environmental consultant, and split test to theirs.
By the way, a true marketer?
Yeah.
Split testing?
Yeah, I was split testing back then. And the reason why is because I didn't want to be duped. I didn't want to be, lied to again. Yeah. And the results came back from my urine, that it was loaded with heavy metals. I tested for heavy metals in water, in soil, in air. And so I had those laboratories, and I didn't trust this lab. I thought it was a lie. But as soon as I found that out, and then I called the lab, and I'm like, what about these silver amalgam fillings? There's no way they can put those in your mouth if they're hazardous waste. So I talked to the analytical lab, and they're like, well, we do measure the wastewater that comes out of the Federal Aviation Administration base in Spokane. This was an analytical lab out of Spokane, Washington. And their waste stream has to be monitored because it's so loaded with mercury. And the only place it can come from is from the removal of people's mercury amalgam fillings. So they literally have to catch the water and treat it because it's so toxic you can't put it into the sewer. Then I found out that it's because I did hazardous waste cleanup. So we'd have to do toxicity characterization leaching procedures on hazardous waste for cradle to grave rules by the EPA. And there's special landfills for this stuff. Well, there's special landfills for mercury amalgam fillings once they come out of your mouth and onto the dental tray. You have to run a T-clip on them, and then you have to do the EPA. I can't remember the exact law, but it has to go in a special landfill that's lined, that traps all the leachate, which is essentially what's happening. But I also found out if you stick a air quality meter in your mouth and you drink some hot coffee like this,
right?
Up to I think up to 100 times it exceeds EPA air quality limits, up to 100 times. And if you brush your teeth, same thing. These things leach not small amounts of mercury, enough mercury that it would shut down a school. right? If a light bulb would break, like, but it's okay in your mouth. So this is my science brain, and this is what unlocked the rebel message. This is when I got pissed, and when I realized that when I was measuring volatile organic compounds from a gasoline spill, all these things at gas stations and measuring vapor and all the things that we did, is that our freaking homes were more toxic than the gas station that we were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to clean up the soil, because our homes are filled with just as high as the levels, but it's okay. Your car, higher levels, but it's okay. Like it just hurt my brain so badly that I'm like, people need to know this. This stole my life. I wasn't going to get married. I couldn't function. I couldn't leave the house. I was chemically sensitive. And then I look at autistic children and I'm like, I'm an adult. At least I can deal with these feelings and emotions and yell and scream and have, some hope. But imagine a kid whose brain isn't developed yet. And they're toxic and sound sensitive like I was, and couldn't get your words out of your mouth, right? Because these kids are nonverbal, and it's so frustrating if you have brain fog and you can't get the words. It's like, Tim, I just can't talk. It's like you're stoned, but worse, because you you're not, but you feel like you can't. You have no access to information. That's how foggy you are, and it's horrible. It's a horrible way to live. So that ignited a fire in me to get this message out there. Non-toxic dad is new, but back then I'm like, I want to tell every practitioner in the world that this is what you should be doing to help your clients. It's a root cause problem. Toxicity is the root cause of aging, rapid aging. It's the root cause of a lot of the symptoms you have. Mold probably accounts for quite a bit of degenerative conditions, and the real estate industry is just the mold's a dirty word because it shuts down the deal. You can't have anything that shuts down the deal, Tim. It can't shut down the money flow.
Nope.
Right. So here we are. And then that's how I met JJ.
It's I love this. And it's the fact that you had to go through this is tragic, right? I mean, knowing that you're working in this environment, but did you connect those dots between you working in this environmental cleanup to, when you were sitting in your parents' basement?
In your gut, I knew it.
Okay.
Right. In your gut. That's why I always got to follow your gut. You know, there's energy and frequencies and knowings that far exceed what's in our mind. So I believe that now at 50. And so you got to follow your gut. And I knew that was the issue, but you just wanted to ignore it. Yeah. It's like everything else in our life. In your gut, you shouldn't have made that decision. In your gut, you really shouldn't have, married that person. You got to follow your gut instinct.
Right.
And I don't know if it's a shock or Easter mess thing. I don't know. But I had that gut feeling and I knew it all along. I just didn't want to believe it. Yeah. Right.
So what about the individual who looks at this? Because you've got the non-toxic dad, right? That's a huge movement now. I mean, you've got how big is your following right now on social?
We're close to over 2 million. 2 million followers across social, 1.1 on Instagram.
Yeah. So this is something that is, I mean, to have that many followers, people are waking up to the fact that they're in a toxic world, right? Let's just not talk about just their toxic home, right? So where does somebody start? Because they may look at this and say it's completely overwhelming, right? Just at your house. I mean, you just told me about all the things that you've done to this house, about removing all the toxicity from the house, right? And getting things built.
So you were at my house. I just had a new mold water.
Right.
Right. You saw the wall ripped apart.
Yeah. So, so this could seem overwhelming. So what is your recommendation to the listener, whether it's a doctor or whether it's a consumer? Like, where's a good place for them to start and really looking at how can they start to remove some of these toxic elements in their environment?
I was talking to another health practitioner at this event, which was awesome. Again, it's been beautiful. Mindshare Summit is something really special. And the doctors here, I think the consciousness is changing because people are really wanting to simplify. They're wanting to get people well, not just to have a successful practice. They want to get people well so they can reconnect to God, that they can reconnect to themselves, they can love themselves and choose themselves, because when you're toxic and when you're sick, you don't feel, you don't experience life. You can't fulfill your rebel mission. Yeah. So one of the things that I think it was Sinclair said this, she said that there's all these things that are overwhelming, and Dr. Tom O'Brien, who he always said, just make one change a week or one change a month so you don't get overwhelmed. And then to add what Sinclair said, and this was really powerful, and I'm so glad that she shared it with me, is that you do it because you love yourself. You don't do it because you're overwhelmed, because it's easy to get overwhelmed, but I'm going to make one choice for myself to give myself a better life, to move me closer to nature, closer to God, closer to healing, so that I can be a better version of myself, so I can move towards my hopes and dreams. Because when you're sick, and many people listening to this are very sick, it's hard to make good decisions. It's hard. You don't have testosterone. You don't have the drive. Everything's overwhelming. So you're sitting there, and the feeling is so heavy when you're sick. Like, it's so heavy you can barely function. It's effort to get out of bed. It's effort to drive a car. I was so sick I couldn't even drive. The stress of driving was too much. I couldn't watch TV because I couldn't adapt to the stress. I couldn't take a hot shower where it had to be like lukewarm because it would send me into anxiety because my body couldn't adapt. So when you're making these decisions, you have to realize these little tiny decisions that you're making, if you can make one a month, love yourself enough so that you can move one step closer to healing. And some of the basic things that I would say, it's like, yes, I have a patented, ingredient in my detox product that I've invested, my life into creating, and it's helping so many people. And it's from nature. But my thing is not that. It's not about a product. It's about getting back into nature. So anytime you can move your life closer to nature and away from fake, so find those things. So open your window is diluting, it's putting nature inside, and you're diluting all the toxins in your room 50, 75%. So just by opening your window, you can't afford to, I ripped when I found out I was chemically sensitive, I literally ripped out my carpet, couldn't afford carpet. I'd rather live on no carpet, right? I couldn't afford a non-toxic bed frame, so I just put an organic mattress on the floor. And I couldn't afford non-toxic furniture, so I sat in a plastic chair with one of those microwave, those fold-out tables back in the day. I don't know what they're called.
Card tables.
Yeah, whatever. Those
things.
Yeah. Little side tables. So I just eliminated all the things, and I'd rather be healthy than doing that. So I used to use a box fan and put a MERV 10 or MERV 11 filter and put a bungee cord, around it so I could have an air filter in my home. So there's always ways to get well. Expense isn't there, but bring nature in. The closer you get to nature, the healthier you're going to be. It's the garden, right? The garden is meant to protect you. The ground is meant to fuel you. Science, peer-reviewed literature shows that it's like an IV antioxidants into your body. I mean, I get boohoo on that online, but it's a fact. That it decreases your risk of heart disease. It's charging your body. It's an antioxidant to unload all this electricity that's filling
grounding.
And putting negative
grounding. Right, that's what this is all about.
Grounding, sunlight, setting your circadian rhythm in which is in every cell. The red light fuels your mitochondria, plus all the full spectrum for your eyes to make cholesterol sulfate, so you have better hormones. So get out into nature. If you have a toxic home, just get outside much as possible, and start investing and making decisions. Make a decision and save up for that water filter. I mean, it took me years. And until then, go to online and find a website and find local springs that are water tested. That's actually better water than RO water. It's better. If you can drink that water, it has life. It has energy. It seeps through the soil. It picks up energy. It picks up trace minerals that your body needs. It picks up essential minerals that your body needs. And we're taking electrolytes, but if we drank spring water, we wouldn't need them. We definitely don't need freaking Gatorade.
No.
That is, toxic neon flavored sugar.
More toxic back in.
So those are some of make decisions. Think about it. Make decisions that get you closer to nature. Open your window, start in your bedroom, get rid of all the synthetics, that's spun, toxic, carcinogenic, hormone disrupting, fabrics that have no life if you measure the frequency. That's why they use linens to, that's where it comes from, is from hospitals. They use linens because the frequency alone can heal. And peer-reviewed literature shows that frequencies heal. This isn't woo-woo medicine. The Eastern folks had a lot of this right experientially, and science is now backing it up. Things like breath work, massive change in your physiology. A new Harvard study, cyclic sighing is the #1 way to increase your mood and decrease anxiety of all the different types of breath work. But box breathing is great. There's Sachin, who's part of your tribe here, the Rebel tribe, teaches that, and so many other of these doctors, and they're moving that way. And it's just beautiful to see that these simple, getting close to nature, regulating your nervous system using breath, you can literally detox and start feeling better. And once you start feeling better, you can make more decisions that move towards a non-toxic lifestyle. And then I got plenty of options there. You have a non-toxic living community that people can join. We have products like Cyto Detox and True Carbon Cleanse, which are highly effective. I just did a test with a medical doctor, and the changes in the clients, I can't talk about it, on this show, but it was mind blowing. I still don't believe it, actually. Like I have a hard time believing that it was that effective.
Yeah.
And just because it's hard. It's hard because you're so overwhelmed with the fake in the world. Even when it comes to my own stuff that I have science and I've worked so hard and put patents in, I'm like, I just have a hard time believing that some of these simple things from nature can be so effective at supporting your body towards a health.
It's so unfortunate, and thank you for this. This is extremely helpful because the listeners are probably like very overwhelmed. Where do I go? Where do I do this? Right? And you've given some great things, but you look back on, when petroleum and the Rockefellers, right?
Mm-hmm.
How it got into our pharmaceuticals, right?
It sure did.
Everything is petroleum based. All these products, I remember I was watching something online and it was a question somebody asked, like, somebody's like, I don't do this and I don't do that. And they're like, well, if you don't do plastic, then what are you wearing? What are you doing? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you drinking out of? Like everything, the clothes, everything that's made, like everything that's coming over, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Walmart, all the goods that are coming across, right? So like we have toxic products coming in on container ships on a day-over-day basis in, 100 ports in this country. And, they're showing up and it's almost an assault on us, right?
It's millions and millions of bottles of toxic, hormone-disrupting, carcinogenic, aging chemicals, and we're told that it's okay and it's safe and it's at low levels and people die and defend it.
Yeah.
It is, again, they're locked into a mindset because they don't want to believe it. Because a lot of times because it's economic interest. And I see this in health, like all the time. I have a product that is loaded with heavy metals, but it's making me so much money, or I'm in an MLM and it's making so much money. The character of the person's bad who's running the company. I don't care because I'm hooked to it financially.
Right.
So people, and it's scary, right? Because if doing the right thing sometimes costs you a lot of money. Doing the right thing means you have to walk away from security. Like someone who's a pharmaceutical sales rep, they're making so much money. And how many of my friends who have walked away, it's hard.
Walked away.
Was it hard to walk away?
No, it wasn't hard because I was in this community for 7 years.
Yeah.
I saw the corruption
Yeah.
that was going on. But the guys that I worked with and the gals that I worked with, they're like, there's no way they can walk away. And if they did, it would...
Your wives would leave them.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it is tough because that's what happens. They create an economic benefit, medical doctors walking away. They're not taught nutrition. They're not taught business. And so they get into the hospital and the guys running it are business guys.
Right.
So they're not like, how many people are we healing? They're like, how many tests are we running?
Yep.
We just
How many
bought this.
surgeries
We just invested in this machine.
Yep.
And then the medical device people come in, the pharmaceutical reps, it's all run through machines. So it's not just pharmaceuticals, but it's, if you look at like hand lotion, right? Or body lotion. If you look at if you can analyze this right on Chat GPT, how many, CeraVe, how many of these ingredients are petroleum based? And it'll over 50%, right?
If you can't pronounce it, don't put it in your skin and don't put it in your body, right?
Now, if you can't eat it, don't put it on your body. If you can't, but the funny thing is we're eating toxins too. So, I mean, natural flavors even you can hide so much in that, but then artificial flavors and fragrances are neurotoxins, and you're putting in phthalates, which are hormone disruptive, and we're wondering why we're so sick. It's this onslaught of toxicity is definitely, like you said, these ships, Listerine destroys the microbiome in your mouth, and the very bacteria you need to produce nitric oxide to give guys, the extra thing that they need, so they're not impotent. And so they don't have issues. And then also for heart health, we're doing things that kill off the very system because we are nature, right? We are the world, we are nature, right? The garden, we are a garden. The world is a garden. We live in this garden that will provide for us if we are in synergy with it.
Yeah.
But if we choose, you could liken it to the Adam and Eve story. There's certain things you can, if you do the right thing and you listen and you're in compliance with nature, but if you get outside of nature and you start eating from the wrong tree, you start eating from the toxic tree. I believe it's kind of like a metaphor. You can use anything for a metaphor, but some people get mad that I'm doing this, but they're eating from the toxic tree. The knowledge of good and evil. Yeah, that the knowledge is, wow, chemistry, petroleum, like all these chemicals and toxins, but that removes your protection. You are no longer in synergy with nature. You are out of alignment. You're choosing to put into your body something that was never meant to be there. It's not in a symbiotic relationship with you. We are in symbiotic relationship with bacteria, even parasites, with the sunshine, and we're said, no more sunshine. We're in a symbiotic relationship. We were designed in nature, in this garden of this world, to get sunshine through our eyes, through our skin, all of it, circadian rhythm, our hormones, everything. And we're said, get away from it. It causes cancer. We're designed to eat dirt and bacteria. Then we're using quaternary quats, compounds that kill bacteria and wipe out our microbiome. We're using dish soap that leaves residues, then we eat it, that are petroleum based, that are killing the microbiome, which is a very fingerprint of our health. So we're killing the world and the microbiome with glyphosate, destroying the soils and the microbes that are necessary to work with fungus and bacteria and nematodes to release the minerals so that the plants can uptake it, so that we can eat the plants and give us food. So we kill the bacteria, which it's not just our soils are mineral depleted, we're bacteria depleted, and those bacteria and that microbiome of the soil is what's necessary to work in synergy with the roots and the bacteria in the poop that some of these bacteria and nematodes, the only way that minerals can come into the plant so we can have mineral-rich fruits and vegetables. So it is absolutely maddening, and that's why there's a movement right now.
Yeah.
And that's why whether you like it or not, there's something happening. Moms are pissed.
Yep.
And I have, literally multiple Hollywood people following me. They're mad. They write me like, how can they have high levels of lead in my prenatal supplement? Because they're designing these supplements for price point so they can have marketing. No one's thinking about the contamination in some of the herbs and even the vitamins that they're putting in there, because there's no regulation. It's the Wild West still.
Right.
So anyway, I just went off.
I love it. Like, this is your passion, the passion for this. Yes. Like, getting to the root cause. This is so important. And like you mentioned, people are waking up to this, right? So in an environment, like, I'm even surprised I'm even talking and walking after all this, stuff that's going on.
Your body is so resilient.
Body,
Your body is
right?
so resilient.
So the question is, if somebody's experiencing some extreme challenges, what would they tell a functional medicine doctor? Like, they're walking in, what are they, like, last question here, I just want to know, what is it would you recommend, that they come into a practitioner and let them know what's going on?
I always interview, right?
Yeah.
I don't trust, at this point at 50, you can't trust everyone that they have your best interest in mind. There's a lot of good, functional medicine is kind of in vogue, and there's some really great functional medicine doctors. Most are into it. Some of them are just learning. And so I like ones that have already been sick, because then they've been humbled.
It's true.
Yeah, and there's less ego involved. Yeah. But some of the ones with the biggest ego are some of the greatest healers, because they have good energy to give you. Because
good.
one of the greats, and they're good. We won't mention names, but there's some really good ones that have great egos. But they give you energy, right? Because you're coming there hopeless. You want someone who's going to give you hope. Hope is going to be one of your greatest in love. Love is the ultimate medicine.
Yep.
Hope is so important, faith, hope, and love. So you need to have that to heal. And that's really, really important. They can't be a depressed, sad. You need hope. You need energy, because you don't have any life force. So you want a doctor who's going to give you life force. And I think they need to know that they need to get to the root cause.
Yeah.
If they're just treating symptoms with supplements, in the little test that I just did, we didn't give any supportive supplements besides some mineral on the back end to deal with mineral gapping after some of the toxins are being naturally removed from the body.
Yeah.
Supported net to be naturally removed from the body, let's say. And just those two products made people feel 50% better. right? So it doesn't have to be complicated. So yes, blood work's important, but blood work is just they have to look at it correctly. It's just measuring, what's in your gas tank, not if you have a leak in your gas tank, not if you're not, you can have a lot of, say, T3 or T4, and you can still have all kinds of thyroid problems. So that's what's nice about functional medicine is they're measuring all the tests that your medical doctors won't do because and that's money driven,
right?
Because it's what insurance will pay. It's what's in their best interest for money, and that's what functional medicine does cost more. But they're going to run all the panels to really figure out what's wrong with you. So I would say a functional medicine doctor who's running really good blood panels. They know how to look at like CBC with diff, and they can look at a lot of these basic blood work panels and tell a lot about you. And I think ultimately you just have to follow your gut and know that that's the right person, and you have to believe them, and you have to do what they tell you to do. But for me, root cause medicine really starts with, let's start with cleaning. Let's get you clean air. Let's drink clean water. Let's get you a water filter. You can't, if someone's living in a moldy house and they're saying that they can give you some binder that's going to help you, it's not.
Right.
It's that would be malpractice. Like you got to get out. If you got to move in with your in-laws, if you got to go, rent a place, like you got to get out of the source of toxicity. So a source root cause based functional medicine practitioner that can run some panels on you and can make you feel better while you're clawing your way out of the.
Yeah, so you just can't put one foot in. Like you got to go all in.
You got to go all in. You got to change your diet.
If you get down a path, you're going to bounce back. You may even get worse, right? You don't want to have that.
Take self-responsibility. And change your diet, get it anti-inflammatory. These doctors know what they're doing today. They're held accountable too.
Yeah, Warren, thank you. So how would somebody follow you to learn more about Non-Toxic Dad and some of the other amazing things you're doing out in the world?
Yeah, the nontoxicdad.com, Non-Toxic Dad across all social, Non-Toxic Living on social as well, and that's my new membership program to create a community. And just shoot me a message on DM and I'll get back to you.
Thank you for doing what you do. It's so important to the world and to just make this place a healthier, non-toxic environment. That's what we want.
I love it.
So Warren, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been an honor.